It is time for some hoops hype action, and it's a huge Friday night doubleheader in the NBL, and both games come loaded with ladder-shaping implications. Over the ditch in Auckland, desperation meets expectation, while in Adelaide, dominance meets defiance. Seasons will be further clarified tonight, one way or another. If you're joining us for the first time, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Get involved in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts are. Who are you backing? Where are you wagering? Where are you getting involved? And who do you see making a run for the playoffs or sliding out as the rest of the season unfolds? In the first game tonight, it is the New Zealand Breakers versus the Sydney Kings, 5:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time tip-off from Spark Arena in Auckland. For the Breakers, it's survival mode. They are sitting 3 wins behind Tasmania with 6 games left. They simply must keep winning to stay alive in their faint play-in spot hunt. For Sydney, the pressure's also real. Back-to-back losses last weekend have rattled their push for a top 2 finish. They're now fourth, 2 wins behind both Melbourne United and South East Melbourne, and any further slips will put automatic home semis in real jeopardy. This is season-defining territory for both of these sides. So we turn to the stats of substance. And Sydney, while they are fourth in scoring, they've got offensive threat. And they're the number one defense in the league. But 2 defensive linchpins are out of action. Xavier Cooks with an ankle injury. Bull Quoll gone for the rest of the season with his ACL. That is a huge dent for the Kings. For New Zealand, they're the third best defense in the league. They've got offensive inconsistency, though, and that has been their Achilles heel. They're significantly stronger at home than on the road, and especially notably since the FIBA break, they've been really building up that home record. In terms of the matchups that matter, well, let's go to the bigs first up here, and Sam Menenga on his home court up against Sydney's Brazilian big man Tim Suarez. 2 modern bigs with range, power, and real edge. So long as they can stay out of foul trouble, this will be a huge clash, and they can control the tempo and paint presence for their side. And it could go quite a long way towards determining who wins the game, who loses the game, and whose season takes a real dent, while the other takes a boost. And of course, we can't look ahead without looking at KD versus Parker Jackson Cartwright, or KD v PJC. It's all the abbreviations, and KD is the headline act. Speaking of abbreviations, he is firmly in the MVP conversation. PJC, he's searching for consistent dominance. We've seen his best, and it's absolutely scintillating. But it hasn't been there week in, week out. This matchup will dictate the shot quality, the pace, and momentum swings of the game, and they are the anchor point or the linchpin for their teams. If they go well, their team goes well. If they don't, there's a lot of heavy lifting to be found elsewhere, especially for a Kings team that's down on troops. In terms of how the game will shape, Sydney will still bring elite structure and defensive principles. But without Quoll, who takes the shutdown assignment, that's the question. The Breakers don't need fireworks. They need composure, half-court execution, and to turn Spark Arena into a grind off the back of Menenga and co. If this becomes an arm wrestle, New Zealand will be right in it. In terms of the X factors, for the Breakers, I've gone a little left field. Carlin Davison, energy, hustle, and impact off the bench. That energy can be the spark that changes momentum in games like this, and he's going to have a huge role to play. For the Kings, well, no Bull Quoll. That means they need someone else stepping up to hustle. They've got a few options, but the one for me is Matthew Dellavedova. The former NBA player, former NBA champion, shows leadership and defensive organisation and timely offense without Cooks and Quoll there. He's going to have some big shoulders to carry a big load tonight. Let's move on to Game 2, the Adelaide 36ers versus the Jackjumpers at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. Tip-off will be 7:30 p.m. It's a doubleheader back-to-back, and Adelaide are flying. They're 4 wins clear atop the ladder, 11-2 at home, and chasing something they have not had in a long, long time. A finals run with full home court advantage. For the Jackjumpers, they've been a roller coaster, 11-13 overall, but they look better on the road. Not sure why. It seems inexplicable. They hold a 7-5 record away from home. They're certainly capable of beating anyone, but as they've shown too, they can lose to anyone on their night. In terms of the stats of substance, while Adelaide are undefeated in their last 5, Tasmania have exchanged win-loss across the same stretch. Adelaide, an offensive powerhouse with names like Cotton, Cheatham. Throw in Isaac White and DJ Vasiljevic off the bench, and they've got plenty of power. The Tassie Jackjumpers, they need to rely on their imports all firing. Tiger Campbell, Bryce Hamilton, David Johnson. Their head-to-head so far this season goes 2 from 2 to Adelaide. 98-89 in Adelaide in October, 97-86 in November in Tasmania. This is a time for the 36ers to turn the screws. The Jackjumpers need to get one back. They've had the answers so far, the 36ers, but will that be the case again on their home court tonight? The matchups that matter. Bryce v. Bryce. That's how it shapes. Cotton v. Hamilton. The MVP pace setter and 5-time winner against the Jackjumpers' offensive heartbeat. Cotton, he hit his absolute peak earlier in the season, but he's been a couple of steps short in the last couple of weeks. That's not to say he's been playing poorly. He's just been playing in probably fourth gear for Bryce, which is sixth gear for nearly everyone else. If he finds it tonight, it could get loud in a hurry in a packed-out Adelaide Ensign. Hamilton, he's going to set the tempo and load for the Jackjumpers, though. If he gets going, the team follows. We've seen that. He can be a threat from anywhere on the floor, and he can lead this team to an upset victory here tonight. Speaking of people that can lead, the big bodies, Isaac Humphries will come up against Magnay and Banham with some help from Zylan Cheatham. Size, strength, and physicality everywhere. This battle will decide the rebounding margins and second chance points. It's an absolute 1-2 punch, two of the best in the league, and I can't wait to see them go toe-to-toe. Interchangeable offense, interchangeable defense, and they'll give you hustle from all around the court. Cheatham and Humphries probably on paper slightly in front, but Magnay and Bannon, that's what Scott Roth will be telling them. These guys think they're better than you. The chip on their shoulder will work an absolute treat. So how does it shape up? Adelaide are going to want pace, spacing, and crowd momentum behind them. Tasmania will want disruption, physicality in the paint, and to drag this into uncomfortable stretches. They've absolutely got the ability to do it, but can they execute? For the Jackjumpers, if they're going to flip the script, it starts on the glass and with defensive pressure from Magnay and Bannon. They need to keep the pressure on the guys that are going to star, the likes of Bryce Cotton. How do they shut him down? In terms of X factors, again, looking a little bit differently this one, have to go DJ Vasiljevic. Can come on off the bench and inject instant offense with zero conscience and 100% confidence. Loves throwing the daggers into teams late. We saw that against his old team in the Sydney Kings the other day, and he can do it from absolutely anywhere on the court. He's confidence personified, and he is absolutely the most potent man coming off the bench and probably leading the Sixth Man of the Year conversations. For the Jackjumpers, they've got their own bench arsenal. David Johnson, the import. Settled, impactful, returned from injury, and you can trust him in big moments off the bench to add that extra punch alongside Bryce Hamilton and Tiger Campbell. So let's talk wise wagers. Make sure, of course, to gamble responsibly. In game one for the Breakers and the Kings, I'm going to go the Kings to win. This is a flip of the coin job. You can get the Kings at somewhere around minus 112 to minus 115. So $1.87 to $1.89 for Aussie punters. For the total, I've gone under 182.5. Two teams with plenty of offense, but even better defense. Even with Qual out of action and Cook's not there, I think Sydney will have enough hustle and grind to keep this tight and not let it blow out. For our value bet, I've gone Quatnoy over 12.5 points into Matthew Dellavedova over 10.5 points. Someone's going to have to step up alongside KD with Xavier Cooks out and Qual's small contributions. These two will probably lead the charge. Noy will get some more minutes, I expect, with no Qual, and that's paying at plus 250 or $3.50 for the Aussies. For game two, the 36ers versus the Jackjumpers, the total, I'm going over 172.5. You can find 171.5 out there. It's a low total. But I think with some of the three-point offensive shooting of these sides and just some of the danger that they've got, if both or one of these sides even can get going, that could easily blow out over the 172. And then for an even money bet, I've gone Magnay, Bannon, and Cheatham, all to get 6 or more rebounds at $2. Even money for it, not a bad bet. Speaking of Zylan Cheatham, he's my man to watch in the value bet. 10 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists at plus 240 or $3.40. That seems like a good bet to me. But that's your Friday Night Hoops hype locked in. Make sure to tune into our live watch-alongs from 5:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Time. And for more basketball action, whether it's live watch-alongs, hoops hype, or even our other sports coverage, make sure to hit like and subscribe and stay tuned to our social media channels at The Chris Mack Show on Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook. And we look forward to seeing you from tip-off to the final siren tonight. Again, a big thank you to you for tuning into your home of the black and white of sport. No grey opinions here on The Chris McPherson Show.